All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pick us up. And again, once a student starts to get the hang of the hover, then I would go ahead and start introducing them to the traffic pattern. And the way that I would do that is I always turn the helicopter perpendicular if I can, if I have time, perpendicular to my takeoff profile. So I'm going to be taking off to the right. From here, you want them to do their pre-landing or pre-takeoff checks, which is I got 3 gauges in the green. I'm looking at about 85, 180, and 200. My RPMs are in the green, my carb heat is out of the yellow. My trim is off and in, the wind is to my right, and I still have about 20 minutes of fuel on board. James is going back inbound, so he should be no factor. The last thing that I want you guys to have the students do is clear the aircraft. So clear left, forward, and right. If they clear the aircraft, turn, and then do their pre-takeoff checks, then they're facing, they're back to where people could be approaching them. So get all your checks done, get everything out of the way, clear, and then turn and burn or turn and go, okay? So from here, I'm going to turn the helicopter into the wind, maintaining my heading with the pedals, height above ground with the collective, and position with the cyclic. Once I face the helicopter into the wind, I'm going to slowly start to creep forward with the cyclic, maintain that heading with the pedals. I'm going to get a little bit of a rumble here in a second. That's ETL. When I get that, I'm going to push forward with the cyclic and a little bit of right pedal. So here it comes, forward pressure with the cyclic, right pedal. I'm going to accelerate, staying 10 feet above the ground until I get the helicopter to 45 knots. Once I reach 45 knots, I'm going to release the forward pressure on the cyclic, pitching for 60 knots, maintaining climb power with the collective and trim with a little bit of left pedal. And I'm going to fly the upwind. On the upwind, the goal is to gain at least 300 feet of altitude, keeping a 60 knot attitude, climb power with the collective. I'm going to start to clear the aircraft left, forward, and to the right. I'm getting to about 5,300 feet, which is almost to 300 feet, so I'm going to start a left 90-degree turn.
0 is 6,000
clear left, forward, right.
Descending to 6,000 feet, orbiting just east of the fairgrounds.
I got him inside.
Waiting to get back into the airport.
Roger, got you inside, James. Okay, so I'm turning left into a crosswind. I want to fly crosswind
about
a half mile to a quarter mile. So I'm going to fly out this way, perpendicular to my final approach path. I'm going to clear the aircraft left, forward, to the right, and I'm going to start a left 90-degree turn. As I turn to the downwind, I want to be parallel to my final approach path. I'm going to pick a point of reference off in the distance to keep my pattern square, and I want to level off at 5,600 feet. To do that, I'm going to apply forward pressure on the cyclic, a little bit of up collective. I want to also accelerate to 75 knots, so I'm pitching for a 75 knot attitude, and I'm going to fly the downwind. On the downwind, I need to complete my downwind checks, which are 3 gauges in the green, 85, 180, and 350. RPMs are 104. Carb heat is full. Trim is off and in. Landing zone is clear. I don't need a landing clearance out here. And I have wind behind me and about 18 minutes of fuel on board. Once I get past to beam my intended landing zone, I'm going to lower the collective down to about 15 inches, apply right pedal, and gentle aft pressure on the cyclic. I want to slow the helicopter to 60 knots, and I want to descend down and lose at least 100 feet of altitude on the downwind. So I'm slowing to 60 with the cyclic, and I want to come down to 5,400 feet to lose that altitude. I'm going to start to clear the aircraft right, forward, and to the left, and I'm going to start a left 90-degree turn. Again, keeping it perpendicular to my final approach path. As I descend, I'm going to continue to adjust the collective. I don't want to lose too much altitude, so I'll adjust the collective to maintain the proper amount of altitude, and I want to continue to slow to 50 to 60. I'm clearing the aircraft left, forward, and to the right. Now I'm going to start my left turn on the final. On final, I should roll out at 5,400 feet, which will put me at 300 feet AGL, and between 50 and 60 knots. I'm right about 50 knots. And now I'm going to execute a normal approach. For a normal approach, I want a 10-degree approach angle. I'm going to maintain that approach angle by picking 2 points of reference, one inside the cockpit and one outside the cockpit. Outside, I'm using the landing zone. Inside, for me, I'm going to use between the top of the trim strings and the bottom of the compass. When that angle lines up, I'll tell you, and wherever the spot is on the windscreen is the angle that I want you to maintain. You're going to maintain the approach angle down with the collective. If the spot moves up on the windscreen, you're going to raise the collective. If it moves down on the windscreen, you're going to lower the collective. I want you to maintain trim with the pedals and a brisk walk feeling with the cyclic. So using my peripheral vision, it should feel like I'm just briskly walking down to my intended landing zone. So I'm going to continue making small corrections to maintain the angle and approach speed until I get to about 50 feet. Once I get to about 50 feet, I'm going to start to lose the effects of ETL. I'm also going to want to point my nose directly at my landing zone if it isn't there already, so I'll have to crab into the wind. And I'm going to start tap to increase the collective with left pedal and forward pressure on the slide click to maintain the angle. So I'm continuing to come down. This approach speed feels okay. The angle looks consistent, and I'm continuing to make small adjustments on the controls to keep that angle. I'm getting to be about 100 feet, so I'm going to slowly start to increase collective with left pedal as I start to lose ETL right here. So a little bit of up collective pressure, forward pressure on the side click, and left pedal. I'm glancing at the landing zone and out at the horizon. Don't fixate on the ground. At this point, I'm pretty much in hover mode, so I'm just hovering almost down to my intended point of landing. Slowly increasing collective with left pedal. Up collective left pedal, forward pressure on the side click, keeping the angle. Up collective, forward pressure and left pedal. Up collective, left pedal, forward pressure. With my eyes out, slow raise collective, left pedal. A little bit of aft pressure to bring the helicopter to a complete stop, terminating in a 3 to 5 foot hover directly over my intended landing.